Welcome to Make Up Your Mind. I'm Amberp, makeup artist, hairstylist, and bodybuilder. I wanted to create a safe space for women to have deep conversations about life. So come hang out with me while I get ready for the day and chat about whatever is on my mind. AmFam, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Make Up Your Mind. So this series that I've started on my YouTube channel is now officially a podcast. If you're someone who just wants to listen, you can do so via podcast, or if you want to listen and watch YouTube channel, all of the other previous episodes of Make Up Your Mind are already uploaded on the podcast. So if you missed those, you want to just go back and listen, you can do so. So basically, if you're new here, Make Up Your Mind is me getting ready, doing my makeup, and chatting about whatever is on my mind. It's not so much about what I'm putting on my face. Of course, everything will be listed down below in the description. This is more so about the conversation. So obviously, if you were watching, I am not at home. I'm currently in Pittsburgh working. It's the North American Championship, and travel has been insane. I'm so grateful for all the opportunities I've been getting with girls booking for Stage Glam with Fenty Beauty. However, my content has kind of, fallen off a little bit, but I had some time today. I finished up early, so I figured let's just go ahead and film some content. So for today, we're going to be talking about my worthiness journey. This is something that I started in the springtime because I realized I had a lot of limiting beliefs and some things I really need to work out. Bodybuilding has totally changed my life in so many different ways. I'm a firm believer in how you do one thing is how you do everything. Bodybuilding is already a very structured and organized sport, which I'm already a very structured and organized person. So that was easy for me to get into. But the thing was, while competing, it gave me a new confidence. I'm definitely someone that struggled with believing myself, self-esteem. And so after the first time I ever competed, I just kind of adopted the mindset of, yo, if I can do this, I can do anything. So it has just changed my life for the better in so many different ways. But this spring, when I was, really getting into the nitty-gritty of my competition season, I had realized that I still had work to do with my mind. I shared these things and, started the whole Make Up Your Mind as a way to, first of all, me to vent because that's therapeutic to me, but also with the hopes of starting conversations, because I always feel like I can't be alone, right? If I feel like this, someone else is probably feeling like this as well. So it's my way of also letting you know, hey, you are not alone. I am here with you. So let's get into it. Worthiness. I wanted to first pull up the definition of worthy. All right, definition of worthy via Google. Having or showing the qualities or abilities that merit recognition in a specified way. A person notable or important in a particular sphere. So for me, I had a lot of limiting beliefs, and I didn't realize I had all of these limiting beliefs until I really started digging deeper and just unpacking a lot of things, had to go all the way back to, childhood. That's something else that I've been working on too, just healing my inner child. Now, I didn't have a horrible childhood. That's not it at all. There were a couple of things that did happen that really, really shook me to the core. And maybe one day when I'm ready, I will talk about those things. But I didn't have a awful childhood. My mom was amazing. I'm the product of a single child. My mom did everything in her power that she could for me. Shout out to my mommy. I know she's watching. She watches all my content. I love that. But, growing up, I understood very early on that my life was very different from everyone else's, you know, just like all my friends and whatnot. And I was okay with that. Like, I never faulted my mom. I understood. I knew what time it was. I knew that she was doing her very, very best. But in doing so, and I can't say broke, because last time I said, yeah, I grew up broke, she nearly had a heart attack. We have humbling beginnings, okay? You didn't have a lot of money. So when you grow up and you don't have a lot of money, it can definitely set you up to have a lot of limiting beliefs. You know, I was thinking, oh, okay, well, you know, I don't have a lot of money, so therefore I won't ever have access to certain things. You know, I know how to live frugally, don't splurge on this. And while, yes, you know, that can be a good thing as far as like the not splurging, but on the flip side of that, because I didn't grow up with a lot of money, I thought that I was just destined and doomed to be lower class for the rest of my life. And now that I've had some time to unpack these things, I realized, hey, like a lot of my money struggles, and I've talked about this before. I'm actually reading a book right now called The Psychology of Money. A lot of it isn't because of my lack thereof, as far as me not working hard or doing what I have to do. It is my thought process around, you know, the money is what was getting me. So, you know, having a lot of limiting beliefs as far as, you know, finances, or, you know, oh, well, you know, I come from, you know, a small town, therefore I don't have access to these things, or I won't ever be able to get to these levels. And I'm also someone who is so understanding, and I'm very accepting of things. So because things weren't the way they looked, or because I had just kind of settled into what things were, I just kind of told myself, hey, this is just what it is. This is just how your life is. And that's that. Now realizing that, hey, those are limiting beliefs, and this is blocking you and keeping you from getting to the next level. So I had that going on, you know, with finances, and then not believing in myself as far as my career, you know, like, am I ever going to progress? Am I ever going to be able to take it to the next level? Not believing in myself in regards to getting my pro card. You know, I really felt in my mind that, okay, well, I'm not good enough. It's probably not going to happen for me. And it's crazy because I'm going back and forth in my head where I'm thinking, well, they don't like me. They're not going to like my look. But then one day I realized, okay, you keep telling yourself that, but at the same time, you keep doing it. And so I just had to ask myself, hey, yo, Amber, if you really believed that you couldn't do it, you would have quit a long time ago. And so this is the tricky thing. Like, I swear I was literally at this whole summer, I was at spiritual warfare with myself, just going back and forth with all these thoughts and limiting beliefs. And then I had to tell myself, girl, the reason why you keep going and why you keep showing up is because, yeah, I might not be the most confident, but I have the faith the size of a mustard seed, you know? That's why I kept going, because although I might have felt like, you know what, it's not going to happen, they don't like me, there's a small part of me, there is a small part of me in there that did believe. And sometimes that's all you need. Because let's just face it, life is tricky, you know? And we have days where we're feeling good, feeling great, feeling confident, we popping. And then we have those other days where we're like, nah, sis, not today, you know? And so while I had a lot of those nah, sis, not today moments, in the back of my head, I believed in myself just enough to keep myself going, to keep progressing. And then to get even deeper, I didn't believe in myself to accomplish any of my goals, all because I didn't feel that I was worthy. Now, if you've been following me, you know back in June, I made a major decision, a huge life transition, and I decided to close my salon. This is something that wasn't premeditated. I did a whole nother episode on this, so if you want to go watch that, you can. But that was weird because I had so many emotions, up, down, all around. Like the first initial week, I was like, ooh, okay, the Band-Aid's been ripped off, I'm free. But then after that, that's when shit got dicey, y'all. Things got really, really dark for me because I, unfortunately, and this is something that I'm still working on, I put my self-worth and my value in my work. So that is how I have been measuring my worthiness my whole life via work, you know, because I know that is something that I am good at. I'm a damn good worker. I work hard. I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. I'm not afraid to work hard. And so back in the pandemic, when we had to go on lockdown, for me, that was the first taste and the first time I realized, uh-oh, we got some issues. Because at that point, I didn't have a choice but to sit still, you know? I'm always constantly busy, always constantly going, always constantly doing. And let's face it, the state of constantly being busy, that's a trauma response, y'all. It is. And during the pandemic, when I was forced to sit down, I wasn't working in salon. It was great because, yeah, I got a little bit of a break and I got to really do a lot of good YouTube content. But at the same time, because I was not bringing in any money during that time, it got dark. It got really dark. That was my first, oh, Houston, we have a problem moment, okay? And so then you fast forward to now, June, I've closed my salon and I immediately felt like a failure. I felt like I let my family down. I felt like I let myself down. Although I knew this was something that I needed to do and should have done 3 years ago, it was still very hard. And the main struggle was just simply because I told myself, well, you're not working now. You're not valuable. There's no worth to you. That's it. And the thoughts that I was playing in my head, the things that I was telling myself, probably some of the most toxic shit I have ever heard in my life. And one day, it really clicked for me when I went back to read some of the stuff, because I journal, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And I was reading some of the things that I was saying about myself. Not good. Not good. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. I am someone who is very intentional about the words that come out of my mouth. I choose my words wisely, and I also listen to others very closely, you know? And sometimes that can backfire because some people say things and don't even realize what they're saying. But because I'm just so hyper-focused on the specific words and what people are saying, sometimes I'm like, yo, you said X, Y, and Z, and they don't even realize what they said. But I had to basically shake myself and was like, hey, girl, let's flip this. If this was one of your friends and they were telling you this stuff about themselves, I would be having a fit. So I had to do something that I had never done before. I had to be a friend to myself. And I had to look myself in the mirror and say, hey, cut that out. You don't speak poorly about yourself. The words you speak, what you put out there in the universe, that comes back to you. Your words are powerful. And so immediately I had to correct myself. I had to check myself. Just like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. You are your own worst enemy. I was literally a hazard to myself due to the words that I was speaking, these limited beliefs, these thoughts and feelings, and telling myself you're not worthy, you're not valuable. And I was reading an article one night on burnout, and it was very, very fascinating because y'all know I burnt myself slam out. And it said that a lot of times people seem to think that burnout comes from constantly going and going and doing. Well, that's true, but burnout starts in your mind. Because if you're doing something, you're working a job you're not happy with, or you're in a relationship you're not happy with, whatever the case may be, you're not happy, and you're constantly doing this thing, and your mind is constantly going and having all these awful, bad, toxic thoughts, that can burn you out. And so while, yes, my body was burned out, I knew that firsthand just from how I was feeling and due to my chiropractor, but my mind was burned out. I mentally burned myself out. So as things started coming to a close with the salon, yes, I was relieved, but those thoughts were kicking my ass. And I can honestly say the month of July was by far one of the darkest and the hardest months I have ever experienced in my life. And I've experienced some stuff like in my 20s. Woo, baby, I've gone through it. I've experienced some things, but the month of July, that shit nearly threw me over the edge. So having those limiting beliefs and, oh, if I'm not working, then I'm worthless, it made it hard for me to relax. I understood, okay, yes, I'm burnt out, but I had to take a step back, and it's just like, hey, it took you 10 years to get here to this state of burnout. Why do you think that in just a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you're going to be able to pop right back at it? No. And that's what I did, after I made the initial announcement, took the week off. The next week, I'm on the grind, trying to figure it out, hustle, doing this, doing that. And it just made me feel even worse about myself because I wasn't honoring my body. My mind needed to rest. My body needed to rest. And then one day, I literally looked at myself in the mirror, full stop, and I said, hey, you are worthy of rest. When I had this moment, I nearly cried. And as I'm talking about it, it makes me teary-eyed because I truly did not think I was worthy of rest. Of course, here in America, we have a toxic ass hustle culture. Working in the beauty industry, Lord have mercy. Especially salon culture, it teaches you if you're not working in a salon 6 days a week, 8 to 12 hours, you're not going to be making money, you're not going to be successful. So this has been playing in my head for the past 10 years, like you gotta go, because face it, when you're an entrepreneur, it's just you. If my ass wasn't behind the chair, my ass didn't make money. And that can be very, very exhausting when you know you're tired, you're burnt out, but in order to keep building, to get to the next level, whatever level that may be for you, that's, relative, subjective. But I just had this thought that, no, you have to be there, because if you won't be there, you won't be successful. And that is not the case. I have learned that you can still work hard and not kill yourself. You know what I mean? Working hard doesn't mean it has to be tumultuous, back-breaking labor, standing up for 8 to 12 hours at a time, killing yourself. That's not work. That's not what God intended for us. You know what I mean? So once I arrived to that, me realizing that I am worthy of rest, and not only am I worthy of rest, I need this rest, that's when things started taking a turn for me. I had to force myself to stop. So that is the main reasoning why my YouTube content slowed down a little bit. One, I had to take a moment. I needed the break. And two, travel, with me knowing, okay, I have to work on the weekends, which is great. That's fine. Like, I'm loving the flexibility of, being off during the week. I can do what I need to do, household things, content, social media stuff, work on the back end of my business. Oh, also, my business is now Amberp Beauty. I switched it from Show Day Beauty to Amberp Beauty, and I feel so good about it. That'll be a whole nother episode, but just I've been wrestling with brand identity and trying to figure that aspect out for a long time. However, so working on the back end of that stuff and then understanding, hey, on the weekends, that's when we put in the work. That's when we're grinding. And that has been so good for me because, like I said, it's showing me that, hey, you don't have to freaking work your fingers down to the bone. Like the whole no sleep, no rest, like that's a bunch of bullshit. You cannot function properly without rest. You cannot be a good friend, a good wife, significant other, and mother. Yes, because I know I have a lot of moms out there. Most people don't really like to take a word from someone who doesn't have children. However, this is just knowledge. It's common sense. You can't be good to your children if you're not good to yourself, okay? One more time. Not only can you not be good to your children, you can't be good to anybody if you are not taking care of yourself. There's no such thing as superwoman, okay? Like that's one of the things that I have noticed that I really dislike about the mommy culture, because I read a lot of blogs. I'll read anything because I like to learn. And there was this one moment when I think it was just because like Marillo and I have just kind of been family planning, trying to figure out, are we going to have kids? We don't know. We're still going back and forth. But I was just reading, and this whole super mom bullshit is toxic, okay? Let me tell you something. You cannot do it all, okay? It's not possible. When we have children, how it was designed, you know that saying, it takes a village? It legit takes a village. You were not designed to do it by yourself. You were not designed to just do it with you and your husband. It takes friends. It takes families, a auntie, a grandma, godmom, whatever the case may be. So you are literally trying to do a job of a village, and you're one person. You can't do it. You're going to burn yourself out. But anywho, let me get back on track here. I am really finding peace and contentment, which is something that I have not experienced in years, you guys, in years. And last spring, when we were at our house, I was talking to Marillo about something, and this broke my heart. He said, "It seems like you're never happy." And I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "No, it just seems like you're never content. You're just always trying to, like, you do one thing and you're always trying to get to the next level. Like, are you looking for something? Are you not happy?" And that broke my heart, because Marillo is my everything. That is my homie, my lover, my friend. So to hear him say that, it seems like I'm not happy, I'm not content, clocked me immediately. And that was something that I held on to in the back of my head. But it took a year and a half for me to actually start applying it. But it's okay, because he planted the seed. He told me something that I very well needed to hear, but it just took me a little bit longer to come around. However, we here now, and that's all that matters. So how do I fix this? How am I going about it? Well, friends, it's a journey. I am still on my worthiness journey. I don't know that this is something that will ever be quote unquote complete. I think it's something that I will just have to continue to work on, because none of us are perfect. None of us have arrived. None of us are the next Messiah. So therefore, there's always some self-improvement. Like, I'm huge on self-help, self-improvement, like all those things. Anything that I can do to make myself better, I'm going to do so. But it's just one of those things where it's a journey, and it's an ongoing journey. So something that I do every morning, I journal. I like to journal in my iPad. I don't know why. That's just been my thing. And so I'll just take my little Apple Pencil every morning, set the mood. I'm all about a vibe, y'all. So I will go ahead, light my candle, put on some lo-fi music, jazz music, and I will just grab my iPad and I journal. And sometimes it's dark. Just keeping the buck, okay? Sometimes it's dark. For the month of July, journaling was very dark. Very, very dark. But I can say recently, now that I have come out of that dark headspace, I am doing a lot of positive affirmations. As woo-woo and cliche as that sounds, it works. Because after a while, you keep telling yourself, like I said, the mind is a powerful thing. Your mouth is powerful. And after a while, if you keep telling yourself, the same thing over and over, you're going to believe it. You are going to believe it. And I am a huge believer in everyone should have a solid morning routine. Like, I don't care if you can only take 5 minutes out to yourself. I understand everybody's life is different. You know, some people maybe work third shift, you have children, you have to, get ready. I understand that. You got to hit the gym, you got to get your cardio when you got to head to work. I get that, but you really should be intentional about starting at least the first 5 to 10 minutes of the morning off to yourself, because that is essentially setting the tone for your day. And like if it is a situation where, let's say if I do have a client and I have an early start time, guess what? I just wake up early and I give myself enough time to lay there in the morning, get myself up, coffee, all that. And so just setting the intention for the day, that has been huge, huge, huge. Something else that I do also in the morning, I will either do devotional or I'll listen to a sermon. Recently, Sarah Jakes, she hits, okay? She be hitting. I love everything that she says. Everything that comes out of that woman's mouth, oh my gosh. Like, she is it for me right now. I like to listen to Sarah Jakes. I like to listen to Transformation Church. I like to listen to Elevation. That's actually the church that I go. Well, I haven't gone in a while. I'll keep it a buck with y'all. But that's actually the church that we were going to. And those 3 right there have really been getting me through. And of course, you have to find what works best for you. We are all different. We all are going to need different things. So for some, it might be yoga in the morning. It might be going out for a walk. I know for me personally, y'all know how I get down: God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. And I know I'm very, very well aware how God speaks to me. God speaks to me personally when I'm outside in nature. So whenever life gets noisy and I can't hear, if I can't hear God, I'm like, take your butt outside. Walk around the trees, the wind, the nature. That's my thing. But of course, you have to figure out your thing. Those 2 things alone have helped me so much, between my journaling, my sermons, devotionals, and then taking some time away. All right. Stopping. Sometimes you just got to stop, full stop. I took a step back from social media. I wasn't constantly consuming, because then, that can also be another trauma response, just constantly scrolling. And it was making me feel like, oh, well, I'm not doing X, Y, and Z. And I realized, okay, this is very unhealthy for me, because yes, I have to get on because it's part of the job. But I noticed whenever I would get on, it would make me feel like I needed to be doing more. And so I knew immediately that's not healthy. So therefore, you need to take a break. You do whatever it is that you need to do for you, so that way you can get yourself together and find peace and happiness. All right. So I'm just going to finish up the rest of my makeup really quickly. Alright, AmFam, here is the finished look. All products used will be down below in the description box. If you are listening via podcast, I will go ahead and make sure to link the YouTube video in the description, so that way if you want to see what products I use or take a look at what my makeup look came out to be, very, very simple, easy. But like I said, more so focused on the context. I want to keep the conversation going. So if you are comfortable, only if you are comfortable, if you're someone who has also had similar struggles with just feeling worthy, let's talk about it down below in the comments. Y'all know the deal. Keep it simple, and I will see you or talk to you in the next YouTube podcast episode of Make Up Your Mind. Peace.